Okay.
Good.
Yeah, I just want to remind the people we need to support our beautiful brother Carson Barnes in this sexual harassment suit in Kent, Ohio.
All right.
We need to support him. We need all black men, black women, everybody to fight against this crucifixion they're trying to...
Where's that, in Kent?
Yeah, that's in Kent.
All right.
You know, you've seen it in the news media. They got a black Judas to sign a complaint against him. And we need everybody to follow this case and be visible and show up at the hearings.
All right.
And support our brother.
Okay.
Last thing, if your child is an athlete, he must have a C+ average. Parents, your children should be off the field. They can't get C's and B's while they're playing sports. Get them off the field.
Okay. Hey, thank you for your call.
All right.
Hey, if you want to call 673, no, what is it? 677-0029. I think I'm on the radio again. 677-0029. It's on the screen there. Give us a ring, and we'll put you on, we'll put your voice on television. I have a young man here with me today who is an employee of this station, but he's very interested in the homeless. And I just felt like that he should be here and talk a little bit about how he feels about them and what some of the plans that's going on. I'm interested in the homeless also. We have, I understand that the Haven Arrest is going to do their part. I may be wrong.
Yes.
Am I right about that?
Yes.
The Haven Arrest is going to do their part. And the Oliver O'Kasich building is open again.
That opens tonight at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock tonight,
Yep.
huh? Okay. But we're going to talk with you about that after we go to the phone again, okay? Good morning. How are you doing?
Hi,
Yes.
Reverend. I think you're a sweet man, and you're a nice person, and you look good. But, honey, what you going to do with that hair?
Well, now, I like that kind of call. You say I'm a sweet man?
Yeah, you're just as nice as you can be, and you're a good person. And I think the world is all of you. But, honey, the hair has got to go.
All right.
All right.
Hey, thank you. The answer, what about his hair? Well, it looks pretty good.
Oh, well, thank you.
Okay, Dan. Dan Motion.
Yes.
And we're happy to have you with us. And you have some things that you want to talk about, and I want you to feel free to talk. Go right ahead.
Well, I put together this report for your show.
Okay.
Basically, it deals with the organizations in Akron that help the homeless out. Most of them don't only help out during the holiday season, but these are groups that have been working all year round. We're going to start the segment with the largest help group in Akron. That would be the Good Samaritan Hunger Center.
All right.
They feed 185 meals per day on average, and they really do a lot to help out the homeless in the Akron area. In fact, we talked to the executive director, Tim O'Rourke, and he has more details on their project.
Well, we here at Good Samaritan, our mission is to feed the hungry and the needy in the entire Summit County. Good Samaritan Hunger Center has been in existence for 10 years, and we have spent that time serving thousands and thousands of meals over the years to the various needy in the particular area. We do not charge for any of our meals. We ask for no identification. We are completely ecumenical, and anybody that is in Summit County that is needy and poor and needs help, Good Samaritan stands willing to help them in our meals that we serve on a daily basis. What we do is that we have volunteer drivers every day that go out in our two vans to pick up the food to bring back to our kitchen facilities here. The men that we have are generally retired men, and they spend a couple of hours in the morning picking up the particular foods at all of the grocery stores and bringing it back to the kitchen for our volunteer ladies to prepare the meal for the day. Now, all of our meals are prepared in our kitchen here at the facility, and they are taken to a particular site of where we serve that day. We serve no meals here at the Good Samaritan Hunger Center kitchen. Now, all of our meals that we serve are a hot meal each day. We always have meat and potatoes, vegetables, a fresh garden salad, a fresh fruit salad, rolls, dessert, coffee, and tea or milk. We have 5 different locations that we serve here in the greater Summit County area. On Monday, we serve at East Akron at the East Akron Community Center. On Tuesday, we are at Elizabeth Park down on North Street, and we serve there starting at 3:45 and end at 4:30. On Wednesday, we are in Barberton at on Lamberton and Van Buren. It's the Van Buren homes that we're at in the Barberton area. On Thursday, we are at Edgewood Park, and Edgewood Park is located at the corner of Edgewood Road and Worcester Avenue. On Friday, we are back again at Elizabeth Park on North Street, and we give out groceries at that particular site. We serve over 45,000 meals a year, an average of about 185 meals per day. But when it comes to Thanksgiving, we have a special Thanksgiving meal for everybody at each of our sites. So basically, we're serving Thanksgiving dinner at 5 different times prior to Thanksgiving Day. At Christmas time, we do the same. We have our Christmas dinner for everybody at the particular sites, and we do it the 5 days that are prior to Christmas. And at that, we hand out extra bags of groceries and generally clothes.
And if you'd like to make a monetary donation to the Good Samaritan Hunger Center, send your donation to P.O. Box 5753, Akron, Ohio 44372. And another group we're going to feature right now, like the Good Samaritan Hunger Center, the Haven of Rest provides meals. However, the Haven of Rest also provides shelter and a rehabilitation program for those that find themselves in the cycle of being homeless. The Haven of Rest shelter is located on East Market in downtown Akron. We talked to the Reverend Ben Walker, who explained the program.
Well, we have a significant ministry to the homeless population. To give you some idea, we have 52 beds in our dormitory. So and we also have then 20 additional cots that we use for emergency overflow. So that takes us up to a total of 72. We feed in the average of 300 meals a day. That's an approximate type of number. To give you some feel for on an annual basis, we lodge just over 35,000 nights of lodging in 1991.
The Haven of Rest provides many services for Akron's homeless. Not only do they shelter and feed them, they also provide a rehabilitation program which hopefully will steer them back onto the right track and pull them out of the cycle of being homeless. We talked to the Director of Food Service, Rose, about the meals that the Haven of Rest provided for the homeless people.
These people that come in here are very poor, and many of them are undernourished and not feeling well, and it's very difficult for them to get a well-balanced meal. So when we provide a meal, we like it to be tasty and attractive and nutritious, and we do everything we can to make them feel comfortable, wanted, and just make it a very special time for them.
And if you'd like to help, Rose is not the only one that can contribute to the well-being of the homeless. You can help too. That's right. Call the Haven of Rest at 535-1563. If you'd like to make a food donation, possibly a turkey for the holidays, call Rose. And if you'd like to donate your time, contact Mary Jones. Well, when the Haven of Rest overflows, the Ocasek Garage is a heated garage that provides parking for the Ocasek government building. It's now open through the Salvation Army. Of course, you have to have a referral from one of the area shelters that will be full, that will turn you away, and they will provide you with a referral that you can go to the Salvation Army, and they will provide you with shelter there. We talked to Captain Charles Dietrich from the Salvation Army, who's in charge of this program. And let's hear from him now.
The purpose of the Ocasek Project Help is an overflow shelter for all of the existing shelters in the area. This year we'll be able to handle up to 80 men a night at the shelter after they receive a referral from one of the existing shelters, especially the shelters of the Haven of Rest. We're trying to meet the overflow capacity. Our overall purpose for this project is to put people off of the streets and into a warm, safe place for a night's lodging. And as well, we're able to give them a place to get something to eat just prior to going to bed. And that will be served at the St. Bernard's Church, where the Salvation Army and the many churches in the area will unite together to provide a hot meal for them each and every evening.
The Salvation Army would love your help. If you would like to donate your time or money to this project, contact Doug Marshall. 762-8481 is the number for the Salvation Army in Akron. Just ask for Doug Marshall, and that's who you would speak to if you would like to volunteer time to help distribute food at the dinner. And, well, this report hopefully has shown people, our viewers, how they can go out and help, not only with donating food and money, but really you can get into these programs. You can go down and you can serve the food, and you can deal directly with the homeless people. You don't simply have to mail in a check. Every one of these people has said, yes, we need volunteers, we would love time, and go ahead and give these people a call and go down and volunteer your time to help distribute food.
And Dan, we want to take this opportunity to thank you for getting out.
Well, thank you for having me on.
And making this possible where people can see and find out what they can do. The holiday seasons are right upon us, you know, and we don't want anyone to be without a meal or a place to stay.
Exactly.
Thank you for taking a part of this.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
When your car breaks, you want it fixed, and you want it fixed right. Trust the pros at the Akron Auto Clinic. They've got the latest in diagnostic equipment, and more importantly, they treat you like a person, not a number. Why? Because the Akron Auto Clinic wants you to come back with 2 convenient locations, downtown and Rolling Acres, plus free shuttle service to your office, the university, hospitals, or the mall. There's many reasons to trust your car to the Akron Auto Clinic. They're pumped up, packed with power, and leaner and meaner than ever before. The Nasty Boys of the NFL turn their 100th season into an explosive extravaganza.
This might be a touchdown.
Join us each week with the hard-hitting excitement of Monday Night Football. Live, unpredictable, and back on your radio. Where else but CBS Radio Sports? Catch Sunday and Monday Night Football on the Talk of Akron, WNIR. This weekend on TV 29, it's a high school football playoff weekend. Saturday night at 9:30, turn to TV 29 as Streetsboro battles Akron Manchester in the State District Playoffs. Then, Sunday night, 7 p.m., Ella takes on Garfield in the City Series Championship. In addition, you'll see the halftime show featuring both schools' marching bands, plus we'll have the Wyatt Auto Parts Player of the Game Award. Cable subscribers can watch TV 29 on Warner Cable Channel 34, TCI Cable Channel 29.
Okay, we're back, and we're going to the phones, and those of you who would like to call 677-0029, we're going to see what this individual has to say. Good morning. How are you doing? Good morning.
Brown.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm calling in regard to the gentleman that was just on.
To the young man that was just on?
Talking about the homeless?
Yes.
Okay, I want to know why he didn't mention the Unity House.
The Unity House?
The Unity House that is open for the homeless on South Arlington Street.
Well, I tell you what, since he didn't mention it, and evidently you know about it, so why don't you tell us about it, okay?
I do know about it, and I feel very bad that we were not mentioned.
Well, you take your time and talk about it, dear.
Well, it's located at 571 South Arlington.
571 South Arlington, all right?
Yes, and if anybody needs any information, they can call 762-3720.
Okay.
And we will be more than glad to help anyone who is homeless. It is open for males only.
All right.
And we have plenty of room, and we would welcome them with open arms.
Okay, now do you feel better?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
You're not mad at me anymore?
No, but please, don't forget the Unity House.
Okay, don't forget the Unity House
Right.
on South Arlington Street.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Reverend Brown.
Thank you for calling.
You're welcome. Bye.
Okay, dear. Bye-bye. Good morning. How are you doing? You have to talk loud so I can hear you.
Well,
Yes. Yes?
what can I say?
What can you say?
Let me see.
What do you want to talk about?
All these people.
All these people. What people?
People that starving and stuff.
Yeah, what about it?
Well, people that live on welfare and stuff, they shouldn't have to live with cardboard and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. How old are you?
11.
11. Okay, hey, we thank you for calling.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you for taking time to call us. Okay, 677-0029. We have some open lines, and if you feel like calling, feel free to give us a ring. All right, I want to talk about some things, if you don't mind. But before I do, I guess I better go to the phones. And maybe I get a chance to talk about it before the Sunday's over. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
All right. I'm still amazed at how fast you can run across from one place to the other.
Yes, I'm on radio, then I end up on television, which is not bad.
Next thing we know, you'll be at the house for dinner.
Be where?
At the house for dinner.
Whose house? Come to think of it, I'm not a cook anymore. I can't cook, and
I know.
I don't know where I'm going to eat today, but I'll find somewhere to eat. But anyway, what do you want to talk about?
A couple things. One,
Yes, sir.
One is just to remind your viewers that while Mrs. Avery has been nominated for the presidency unopposed, that it's important for people to come out and vote in the NAACP election, which will be held December 8th from 10 to 6 at the Urban League. Their voices are extremely important. This is one election where your voice really can be heard at the local community. We are trying to show, in fact, that people are interested in the branch. And I understand that you are going to be collecting canned goods, or the election they'll be collecting canned goods.
Mm-hmm. Just the fact that I'm running for the board.
Actually, no, there's a contest going on as to whether you or me or Mr. Davis are the ugliest, whoever gets the most.
No, I'm not ugly. A lady just called a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Was talking about how good she thought I looked.
You look all right.
Her opinion.
It looks sharp.
Huh?
People need to, I didn't mean to make a joke, but the serious part is that people need to come out
Yeah.
and show their support for the branch.
Okay. So don't call me ugly, brother.
No, no. The other thing is based on your discussion this morning. And
well, let me get my point in before you talk about it, okay?
Sure.
I agree with Mayor Don Pasquale when he says that 16-year-olds should be treated as adults in the courts. If a 16-year-old can rob, steal, shoot, or whatever else, rape, whatever else they do, then they should be tried as adults. Now, that's my opinion. I agree with the mayor 100% in that aspect. Now, I know that from your conversation earlier that you do not agree with that.
Well,
but I'm telling you how I feel about it. And everybody else, I want the whole world to know that if you do the crime, you should be able to do the time. Now, go ahead on.
No, my only concern with that is if you take a look at the suspension and expulsion policy that was adopted by the school system, what you find is that there's a disproportionate number of minorities that are affected. And I think that we have to be very careful how we go about and do that and what the ramifications are. I think there's an assumption just because you try them as adults it's going to change. It doesn't. Kids go into the system and come out worse than when they went in.
Okay.
I mean, that's where I think we're different.
Okay. Yeah, but we disagree on that because I don't care if you're red, green, black, white, yellow, or whatever color. If you commit a crime, you should be tried for that crime.
Well, we can agree.
At 16, 17, and on up to 100.
Excuse me.
Okay?
One last thing.
Yes, sir.
And wanted to make sure you got the same statement, and this time you had it this morning. And I think that we are fortunate in the local area in terms of the media, and that we have John T. Dotson, the reporter newspaper, and the Reverend Elvin H. Brown Show.
Mm-hmm.
You have gotten more coverage, I think, for events that have been going on in this community in this last 6 months to a year than ever before, and I think many of us are appreciative of that fact.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your call. Hey, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the Beacon Journal. Now, you may not agree with me, but they have been doing a terrific job in the community, becoming a part of the integral part of the community, especially since Mr. Dodson became the publisher. I want to congratulate them. Okay? All right, let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Reverend Brown.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about
Talk loud so I can hear you.
the expulsion rate.
Yeah.
And I think what Dr. Deichman was saying was true. If the children do infractions of the rules, that's fine. But what he's talking about is that the law is applied principally towards African-American students. And I was trying to find my statistics from that.
Well, you got to make your conversation short because I want to get as many calls as I can.
All right.
Go ahead.
In the schools where it is predominantly black, the expulsion rate is much lower, and that's probably because the expectations are higher. But in the schools where our children are bused, that's where the disproportion comes in, that more of our students are expelled for the same infraction of the rules as white students. That's the point.
Okay.
With about the dropping the criminal age. I don't have any problem with the kids doing the time that they're supposed to, but when it's disproportionately applied to our children, and we know that the black community won't stand up for anything but the punishment of their children.
Okay.
Not fight the system to make it just. And I think that's where our problems are coming in.
Okay.
It isn't that we want crime in our community.
No, we don't want crime, and
but we want justice applied equally.
Well, that's what we will demand once they do that. But I'm hoping that they will drop the age limit down to 16.
But as long as they try everything.
Well, you never know until they drop it, and then what we can do is sit right on top of it and make sure that it's applied equally everywhere, okay?
That's what we have to do.
All right, thank you. Okay, I tell you what, those of you that's on the line, you stay right there, okay? Because we'll be right back after these special messages.
You know, if you're considering bottled water delivery service for your home or office, call Clearwater Systems. See how convenient and inexpensive it can be. Clearwater Systems offers a large selection of coolers, dispensers, and for that special place in your home or office, deluxe wood cabinets and custom finishes. Now you can have clean, clear, great-tasting water for just pennies a day. Clear water from Clearwater Systems.
For a limited time, rent a Cook and Cold cooler for only $5 a month and get your first 10 gallons free.
I was looking for a new career direction. The healthcare field caught my attention. I found a school for me to help me be just what I want to be. They've got a program that'll steer you right. With classes in the morning, afternoon, or night. They can help you too. There's no substitute for Akron Medical Dental Institute.
Some encouraging words from the staff at Stewart & Calhoun Funeral Home.
Death can just tear your whole world apart, and that's when families depend on us to help ease the burden.
In the time of deepest sorrow, we at Stewart & Calhoun assure you that every detail of your loved one's funeral will be handled with compassion and dignity.
When the load is just too heavy, it's a relief to know someone really cares.
We combine more than 50 years' experience in arranging complete memorial services. Stewart & Calhoun Funeral Home, the home that's service-built.
Hi, I'm Joe Dunn.
Hey, I'm Jerry Faust.
And we're both from the University of Akron.
How about that?
I'll tell you, we invite you to join us every Tuesday night at 7:30 here on TV 29. We're live with the Zips. We'll give you an opportunity to ask questions with the head football coach of the Zips, have some fun, and call in and talk to the head man here at the University of Akron.
We sure have had fun. I hope the fans are having fun calling.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's football season in northeastern Ohio, and this is the place to learn all the up-to-date information on University of Akron football.
Go Zips!
All right, let's go back to the phones. They're all lit up. And good morning. How are you doing? Good morning.
Hi, Reverend Brown.
Yeah, how are you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm doing just fine.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
How you?
You're on Channel 29.
I see.
Yeah.
Hey, who said you was ugly?
Somebody.
Well, you know they need to be tarred and feathered and ran out of town.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay, what you want to talk about?
I wanted to say how lovely your hair looking. Who does your hair?
Well, I tell you, one of these days I will let you know who does my hair. You notice it's changed every Sunday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a young lady right here in Akron, Ohio. Okay?
All right.
All right, anything else you want to know?
Yeah.
What?
When I'm going to see you at the beauty shop again, darling.
See me where?
At the beauty shop.
Okay. Anything else?
Wait a minute.
Hurry up, because I got all the lines busy.
Okay, Reverend Brown.
Yes.
I was wondering, do you feel that when high school students, when they turn 18 in their senior year of high school, should they be automatically registered to vote?
No.
You don't feel that they should?
No, I feel that they should have the initiative.
Right,
when
okay,
you become 18 to go and vote.
Okay, I feel that if, 18-year-olds, it should be mandatory that they vote, especially in the black community, because we need a lot.
No, I don't think it should be mandatory. I think it should be a volunteer thing where they have enough initiative and sense of duty for the community to go and vote.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good morning. How are you doing?
Yes, good morning.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I wanted to talk about that age limit being dropped to 16 to be tried as an adult.
Yes.
Yes, Mayor Don Pasquale, I heard with my own lips and on television, this man stated that he did not feel that members of the black community were intelligent enough to fill out a loan application.
Who said that?
Mayor Don Pasquale.
I didn't hear that.
I have it on videotape.
Well, I would like to see that.
Yes.
I don't believe he said that, but go ahead.
Yes. Well, anyway, I don't care if you don't believe. I have it on videotape.
Okay.
I wish you could see it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this same man who has absolutely no respect for the black people in this community are going to sit up there and make a law that is going to predominantly be a target of young black men. This is the reason why he's going to pass it in this community, because
wait, he can't pass it.
Like
The state legislature has to pass it. All he is doing is suggesting it, and I agree with him 100% that it needs to be passed by the state legislature.
Yes, but did you get the point of the lady who called a few minutes ago? She said that we seem to always stand up when our children are being punished for a punishment of our children. We don't stand up and demand for an equitable and just system. And neither you nor the NAACP seems to be out there doing that to ask for an equitable and just system, but you're there when we need to get punished.
Okay.
Seems to be hypocrisy.
All right. I thank you for your call, and I thank you for your opinion. And I tell you what we're going to do right now. We're going to pause for some special messages from us to you.
Paintball Pursuit Games. You've seen it on LA Law and Sports Channel. And now the fastest growing and most exciting sport of the 90s is at Indian Springs Pursuit Games. Indian Springs Pursuit Games has the right equipment, quality accessories, along with hands-on know-how and passion. Call or stop into Indian Springs Pursuit Games for the thrill of it. 2964 Barber Road, Norton.
The 92s are selling fast at Bishop. Get the biggest savings of the year and receive dinner for two at the Town Crier Restaurant. Choose from never-before titled 1992 Subarus, SVXs, Loyales, and Justies. And when you buy, you'll get dinner for two on us. Subaru. What to drive? Now at Bishop, with two locations, 4 miles apart in Norton and Wadsworth. A trusted name since 1921.
Feed your team of hungry all-stars with a family combo from Rassisi's Pizza and Chicken. Get a large pizza, 8 ounces of chicken, JoJo's, coleslaw, rolls, and 64-ounce Coke. Just $13.50 at Rassisi's. Serving the tastiest pizza and chicken at the best prices for 15 years. Now at their expanded location on East Cuyahoga Falls Avenue, just 2 blocks west of Stonehenge Place. Ask about their pizza party trays. Rassisi's Pizza and Chicken. Hi, this is Stan Pyatt. Join me tomorrow morning for your chance to win a $2,000 diamond pendant from Sam's Emporium. In addition, you could win a $3,000 solid cherry custom pool table from Clark & Son Pool Table Company. Plus, one lucky person will get a dual deck hi-fi stereo VCR from PhilCap Electronics. Turn me on tomorrow morning on WNIR for your chance to win over $6,000 in prizes.
All right, let's go back to the phone. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Mr. Brown. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Good. My name is Mike Carroll, and I wanted to address the issue of the homeless. And
Yes,
I
sir.
find it to be sort of interesting, but on the other hand, a little bit disturbing that the Haven Arrest and these other homeless shelters that are predominantly ran by the white community or by white people.
Yeah.
The large majority of these people who go to these centers are black. And what I'm wondering is, when are we going to take responsibility for our own people? When are we going to provide services for our own? I'm not knocking them. It's a good service, and I applaud it. But what I am knocking is the black leadership or so-called leadership in our community that fails to provide these types of centers for our own. When are we going to look out and respect and protect our own?
Okay. Thank you for your call. We'll throw that out. Everybody heard you, so if anybody wants to answer that, feel free to do that. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. You're on Channel 29.
Yes, I know that. Your hair looks good.
Pardon?
Your hair looks good.
Huh?
Your hair looks good.
Okay.
I called to ask you, how do you feel about the abortion law that Clinton is trying to pass? Do you agree with him?
Well, I haven't really studied the abortion laws that he is trying to pass. Okay, so I'm not going to answer that.
Not going to answer, not even your own feelings?
My own opinion is I just don't believe in killing babies.
Just don't believe
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Reverend Brown.
Yes.
First of all, I want to comment on your hair. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I like to say that we should all stop being so judgmental with one another. It's not what people look like. It's what's in their hearts.
That's right.
Search our hearts. Are helping each other more.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about homeless people. Also, there is a great need for foster parents also. There is so many homeless black...
Will you talk just a little louder, please?
There is so many homeless black children right now. And I have 5 myself. So if we could get some people interested in becoming foster parents for some of the black children, they send them to white homes and they just don't get the care they should have. And I'm really concerned with that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you for calling. Good morning. How are you doing?
Okay, how you doing, Mr. Brown?
I'm doing fine.
Okay, yeah, I hear some of the calls this morning and some of my concerns as well. But I'm hearing, like, the young men talking about the black leadership and what are they going to do. You know, I called and I gave you a couple of hard times myself until I went to this last NAACP meeting, and you asked for people to raise their hands, but they didn't notice if I had my hand up as well. And I think by...
the NAACP bashers?
Yeah, I was one of the bashers.
I didn't see you there.
Oh, I was the one with the shaved head and the earring.
Okay.
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 All right.
Okay, I remember now.
Okay.
Okay.
How? You know, I hear people, everybody's talking about leadership. See, 1 and 2 of us set up here in the leadership position. It's easy to throw darts at you.
That's right.
But, you know, we all got to take a role as being that leader and that role model. Because you can't do it alone by yourself. And I was in that meeting and I saw... just was in the room, and a lot of people if you're not in that meeting, if you're not a part of this solution, you're part of this problem.
That's exactly what I've been saying.
And when you have this youth, I've been saying, if white people see us running out of our own community, running from our own children, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to create a law. He's going to create something because you're too afraid of your own your child. So what do you think he's going to do? You got to come back. You can't wait for some man to make a law to take care of your child as you should do yourself. Remember our history from our tribes. We all took care of our own children. It's everybody's responsibility in this community to take care of these children.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Hey, I thank you for your call.
Okay.
I think we got time for one more call, and before we pause for some special messages. Good morning. How are you doing?
All right, how about yourself?
Huh?
How about yourself?
I'm okay.
All right, I have a problem with the leadership in Akron of people from your generation. It seems that we do a lot more of talking and listening to ourselves talk and beating around the issues more than we do setting down those goals and getting to them.
Mm-hmm.
Could you speak on that, please?
Will I speak on it? I didn't quite understand what you were saying.
The leadership, what we do in Akron, we listen more to ourselves talk than we do any actions.
Okay. And you want me to speak on that?
Yes, sir.
You got to talk before you act.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. One more call. Good morning. How are you doing?
Hi, Uncle Elvin.
Yeah, how you doing there?
Hi. I just called to say hi.
All right.
Hi, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was the last call we're going to have for this segment. We'll be right... That was my nephew, I believe. We'll be right back after these messages from us to you.
Anywhere, anyway, any season, any reason. When you've got to go, call Amerigo for airline, hotel, cruise, and business travel reservations. Amerigo takes the hassle out of travel free of charge to you. Right now, the best value in travel is cruising the Caribbean. There are dozens of ships offering discounts, but choosing the right ship and package can be tricky. That's where Amerigo can make the difference between the vacation of a lifetime or a fiasco. Call Amerigo Travel now at 673-3303 or 296-9934.
Back when I was a little boy, things were a bit different than they are now. A dime could buy you a soda at the corner drugstore.
That's your house, Grandpa.
Your grandma and I bought this house after your mom was born, around the time of Kent's 150th anniversary parade. Down the street was the hardware store, right next to Home Savings, who helped us with a mortgage to buy our house.
A mortgage?
Thanks to Home Savings, I've shared many memories in the place I call home.
I love your house, Grandpa.
Hey, Akron, you want the best in news, talk, entertainment on television? Well, you found it. News Talk 29 with Ken Jurek. That's me. Every night, Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock. We're going to do all kinds of serious programs like sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and occasionally a funny one like on politics or things like that. So be sure you tune in. That's 8 o'clock, Monday through Friday, right here on TV 29.
All right, all the lines are busy, and you are on Channel 29. Hi, good morning. Well, you hung up on me. Okay. Good morning. How are you doing?
Yes, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
All right. My name is Terry Shropshire, and I just wanted to speak upon the homeless situation in the city of Akron.
Yes, sir.
And the individual who called before saying that we have no reason to critique our leadership, I think the individual is backwards. I think that we need to be critical of our leadership to demand excellence and make them and hold them accountable to the community for which they serve. That is one of the things that creates on both sides, critique as well as be involved, because as we all know, we seem to have problems with our black leadership and the lack of role that they are playing in our own advancement in our own educational system. Black leadership, as well as the pastor or the clergy, have failed to address the issues that continue to afflict us. But that shouldn't be as surprising to you since you are a reverend. We have a problem with black leadership and members of the clergy selling out our people for a few crumbs that fall off the Caucasian table. And this needs to stop. So it is imperative, it is paramount that we continue to critique our black leadership as well as to get involved in the plight of black people today.
Oh, okay. Thank you for your call. Thank you for your personal opinion. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Mr. Brown. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I would like, for just a moment, I have a question for you, and I would like to address the statement of the NAACP bashers.
Yeah.
On one hand, I can identify with where you're coming from, where you talk about people should get involved. I agree with that. If you're not part of the solution, then you're definitely part of the problem.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I can also identify with the masses of black people who are fed up with our organizations who speak to us out of the condition that we're in, trying to bring about solutions the way white people deem necessary. So it's a two-headed coin, and I can look at both sides, and I understand the frustration on your part being a member and the frustration of the people who don't see or feel the effects of the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Certain People. Now, the question that I have for you is, what are your views, and what do you think about Spike Lee and the autobiography of Malcolm X? Are you planning on going to see it?
I haven't had the chance to see it. I'm planning on going to see it, okay? From what I've heard, it's very, very entertaining and very nice. But I cannot speak on it since I have not seen it.
Well, no, I haven't seen it. It's coming out Wednesday. What I wanted to know, if you let me finish the question. My question...
Oh, I thought you was finished your question.
No, not yet, Mr. Brown, sir. What I wanted to know is, what do you think about the controversy around the movie, or the controversy around either Malcolm X or the commercialization of Malcolm X? Could you speak on that?
I had a lot of respect for Malcolm X. I was living during the time that he was doing his thing, and I was around, and I have a lot of respect for him. I have not seen the movie. I cannot speak on the movie, but I have a lot of respect for Malcolm X, okay?
Thank you very much,
for
sir.
what he did, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good morning. How are you doing?
Can you give the address for the first homeless?
The Good Samaritan Hunger Center?
Yes.
Post Office Box, listen to this, 5753, Akron, Ohio, 44372. Okay?
Thank you.
You got it. Good morning. How are you doing?
Oh, pretty good, Reverend Brown. How are you?
Well, I'm glad to hear you're doing pretty good.
My concern was, you know, that abuse law they have out?
Huh?
The abuse law for the children?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like if parents would be strong again and don't, taper down to the children about calling the police, then they could stop a lot of black children. You was raised by strong parents. I was raised by strong parents. And they did not kill us by chastising. There's abuse, and then there's chastising.
You can't even whoop kids now.
No, and see, that's when the trouble...
And they'll tell you, I'm going to call the cops on you.
That's right, and that's when the trouble started.
Mm-hmm.
There's chastising, and then there's truly abuse. So they need to stop that and make a thin line between the abuse and chastising, and let the parents get a grip again.
Yeah, I agree. That sounds good to me.
Thank you.
Thank you for your call. Good morning. You're on Channel 29.
Good morning, Reverend Brown.
Yes.
I'd like to talk on the issue about this new law that they...
About the 16...
kids, yeah.
Well, you have to talk a little louder so I can hear. I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, now, you know, I agree with you that we need some kind of law or something for these kids because everything is happening, you know, and they killing each other, going by shooting each other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid that our jails are already running over, you know, with our black men. And I'm afraid that this would happen, put more of our black kids in jail, you know.
Yeah.
I'm afraid the law will not...
Okay, now this is a two-way conversation, okay?
Yeah.
Now, I don't think that it should be a racial thing. I think it should be a situation where if a kid, irregardless of what color he is, commits a crime,
right,
and if he's under 18, he should be tried as an adult. Now, I have a lot of calls this morning that seem to try to make it a racial thing. In other words, the ratio would be more blacks than whites being persecuted under this law. I think that we as citizens of this community, black citizens or whatever, we can monitor the situation to make sure that it's fair. But in my opinion, I feel that the law should be dropped down to 16, and irregardless of race, creed, or color, if you commit the crime, you need to do the time. But go ahead, brother.
I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But just that Everybody should get equal justice on this thing.
I agree for equal justice. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you for your call. Good morning. How are you doing?
Oh, good morning, Reverend Burns.
I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't. I'm so sorry.
We'll talk a little louder.
Okay. Is that better?
That's better.
Okay. Now I think that we need to have a curfew.
A curfew?
Yes.
I only got 2 minutes, so tell me about the curfew. I think we already got a curfew, 11 o'clock. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, but it should be earlier than that.
Earlier?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. You got to let the kids go out somewhere, sometime. 11 o'clock? My goodness. But go ahead.
To get these children off the street. And then if they have to go somewhere, let them have a permit from the parents or whatnot. But to have these children roaming the streets, and they should be home getting their lessons.
Okay.
And I support O.P. Avery.
Okay. Thank you. I tell you what, those of you that's on the line, stay right there, because we'll be right back after these messages.
Twin Star Lanes has open lanes every night after 9 p.m. and every day before 6 p.m. Now open 24 hours a day, Tuesday through Saturday. Only 99 cents per game after midnight, Monday after 9 p.m., 75 cents a game. Breakfast and bowling Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, only $5 per person. Rainbow bowling Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday after 9 p.m. Bumper bowling, birthday parties, youth and senior rates 7 days a week. Call 673-1800 for information and lane reservations.
It almost sounded like a case of where a husband is arguing with his wife or vice versa. Whatever you say I did, if you said I cheated on you, if you say I took the money, if you said I used the credit cards, I did. Whatever you say, I'm just sick and tired of it, Harold.
You never know what you'll hear next with Howie Chiswick. Daily 10 to 3 on the Talk of Akron. WNIR 100 FM.
The Talk of Akron, WNIR.
I love you, Akron. Hi, friends. This is Bruce Drennan. And now you can see our show for a full hour here on TV 29. Every Monday night from 7 until 8. We're live and we talk sports with you, the fans, calling in. We feature guests from all the teams and the media. Tell it like it is with Drennan every Monday night from 7 to 8 here on TV 29.
Go one-on-one with Bruce Drennan, Monday from 7 to 8 on your station for local sports, WAI TV 29.
All right. All the lines are busy. I love it. I love it. I love it. And we're going right back to the telephones. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Reverend Brown.
Yeah.
We called this morning on your talk show radio.
Yeah?
Would you please go in the other room and take that phone, plug your phone up so we can use our phone again. We still have you on the radio.
What'd you do, tape it or something?
No, you didn't hang up.
Okay.
Please, thank you.
Okay. Good morning. How are you doing?
Yes, I was calling that I feel that the law should be enforced.
For the 16-year-olds?
For the 16-year-olds, but also, too, for the, for like our downtown, the policemen.
Yeah.
That they just need to enforce the law for them, it's for themselves, that the law should be enforced for them to carry out to do what they should do.
Okay.
When your child is assaulted by a 20-year-old, and then parents are supposed to not be allowed, they tried to pass a law in this here, in the state of Ohio, where parents could not be spanking or whooping their children.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a disgrace. I think also that it's an excuse. You have a child that's assaulted, but then you're not allowed to discipline your child, but then the law calls someone that assaulted your child and they're grown up, a first, degree minor.
Yeah.
That is very ridiculous. I will be approaching that very soon. But also, I think it's a cop-out for parents to say that the law do not allow you to discipline your child. You are them children parents, and that you love your children, you do what you have to do. Then you deal with the law later, and that's more so what we should be doing, is dealing with the law to tell them that them are our children. We're going to discipline so they don't abuse them. Because when they discipline our children have been abused. We have the Detroit situation, the one in Los Angeles, and so we better stand our ground and discipline our children and let all the city hall know that we're going to be our children's parent and that they're not going to be looking down the barrel of their shotguns.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. That was very, very interesting. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Reverend Brown.
Yes.
Your finger was fucked up.
No, I don't know what you said, but we'll move on to the next one. Good morning. Yeah, you hung up. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, we got a thing going here. Good morning.
I was wondering if you can ever have Howard Stern on your show.
Pardon? If I have who? Did you hang up? All right. Getting weird here this morning. Good morning. How are you doing?
You Reverend Brown.
Good. Finally got somebody with some sense.
Oh, I just trying to call you this morning to say that most of our problems come from our society, but a lot of them come from us as black people. We're not allowed to discipline our children. Now, you catch little children 2 or 3 years old tell you, if you say something to me or do something to me, I'll dial 911.
Well, you're right, and they will do it.
Yeah, but then the law come down. You got to prove that you didn't do nothing to the child. The children are just about running the home away. They got the law set up now. A lot of parents are afraid to say something to their child. They don't want to go.
Well, now, yeah, some parents are, but I haven't been a parent for a youngster for a pretty good while. But my dad and me alone, I wouldn't be afraid if it was my kid. I'd have to go to jail, but his behind would be whipped.
Now you talking, because
you know, there's no sense in taking stuff off of these youngsters. That's why they turn out like they are.
Right.
They have no respect for anyone because they have not been taught respect in the home.
There you go.
And it starts with the home.
But I'll dial 911 and tell them to hurry on, because I'm going to be putting something on and while they getting there.
I had a police officer tell me one time my daughter had ran away from home or something. She had done something. And he asked me, was I going to whip her when she went to the police station? That was years and years ago. And I never will forget that. And the police officer asked me, what are you going to do when you get home? I said, I'm going to whip her behind. That's what I'm going to do. Why? It's just that simple. Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for your call. Good morning. How are you doing?
Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah.
Once again, I listen on this television program while you continue to blame the victim.
Blame the victim?
Black men. Of course, there are some who are very, very irresponsible, who don't have any respect. But once again...
There's a lot of them like that.
Yes. Well, see, once again, you're blaming the people who are a victim of this...
Okay, now who are you saying the victims? The black male?
Us black people.
Black people, period, huh? Yeah, but black people have a responsibility of their own.
Okay, hold on.
I get tired of people calling and using the color black as a crutch because of some of the things. If we got ourselves together as black people and unite together, a whole lot of things that's happening now wouldn't happen.
Yes.
You understand what I'm talking about?
Yes, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't agree with putting the blame on nobody else. I'm just saying we have to identify.
Oh, okay. I see we on one accord then, huh?
I beg your pardon?
We on one accord?
Yes, but hold on. I just want to make one more statement. I'm gone.
Okay.
But we have to identify the situations for which, how we've gotten into this socio-economical condition. We have to identify what got us here. And it is someone else that got us here, whether we want to admit it or not. Now, it's our responsibility to get out of it, but there is someone else that got us in this position. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but you leaders have to take a responsibility for leading the way to get us out of the deplorable conditions for which Caucasians have instituted on us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. How you doing? We just got a little short while, and I want to get as many calls as I can. So if you can make it short and to the point, I would appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Brown, I agree with you. I am sick and tired of black people blaming their color of their skin for our condition. If somebody puts a gun in your hand, that don't mean you have to pull the trigger.
Or somebody puts some crack in your hand don't mean you have to use it.
I mean, you have to sell it.
That's right.
Well, therefore, I agree with you on that point. But on the other hand, also, we must begin, as the last caller said, and I agree with him, we must begin to get to the root of the problem and dig from the root and come from the root from a solution, not put a Band-Aid on cancer.
All right. Thank you. I think we might have time for another call. Good morning. How you doing?
Hi, Elvin Brown.
Yeah.
This is Nikki. We've been trying to get a house for a while, and I wanted to know if you could pray for us to get a house, because my mom and dad have been working real hard trying to get us a house.
Okay. We'll do just that, okay?
Okay.
All right. Good morning. How you doing?
I like your show.
Thank you.
And I was wondering if you're going to have guests, and if you are you going to have Howard Stern on?
Howard Stern?
Yeah, you have Howard Stern on? Here's the ball!
Oh, boy. Thank you. Oh, man, oh, man. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. Real good. I'm watching your program. I'm a Caucasian, but I see a lot of different kinds of blacks, good and bad, and the thought came to me. What's the color of a person is not what they are outside, but what they are inside. Thank you.
Thank you for your call. You know what? I think I better wind it up. The lines are still, all the lines are busy, but I really appreciate everybody for calling. And until next Sunday at the same time, this is Elvin H. Brown saying so long. God bless.
They say you are what you eat, so would you rather be Shoney's all-you-care-to-eat soup, salad, and fruit bar, or a box of salad? I guess now it's tossed salad.
Pile your plate, pile with lettuce, all you want, it won't upset us. Celery, peppers, carrots, cheese, soup, fresh fruit, as much as you please. Don't dough around the end, fill her up, and do it again. Now open in Stowe, Graham Road at Route 8.
Hey, Akron, we're your new TV station, WAI TV 29.
Good morning, and welcome to Insight. I'm Father Tom Cagle, the pastor of St. Hilary Parish in Fairlawn, Ohio, and we're happy to welcome you to this program, which explores the implications of living a Christian life 7 days a week. The parishioners of St. Hilary's at 2750 West Market Street hope that these programs will be an inspiration to you in your efforts to follow the Lord faithfully.
Thanks a lot. Dry up, would you? I came out to play basketball this year, pal. Well, is that what you play? I didn't come out to watch you shoot.
Face the Nation with Chief Washington correspondent Bob Schieffer. And now from CBS News in Washington, Bob Schieffer.
And welcome again to the broadcast. Welcome, Senator Nunn. Let's start off with the very controversial topic that's come up this week, Senator Nunn. Governor Clinton suggested in his news conference that indeed he does want to lift the ban on homosexuals in the military. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Colin Powell, says it's a bad idea. What's your position?
I agree with General Powell on it. I think we ought to have hearings because there are an awful lot of dedicated, patriotic Americans who are out there serving who are homosexual. They're in the military, and a lot of them have done a good job. It's a very difficult issue. I agree with the present policy. I think we ought to proceed very cautiously. I think we ought to have comprehensive hearings on it. We've got to consider not only the rights of homosexuals, but also the rights of those who are not homosexual and who give up a great deal of their privacy when they go in the military. The military is not like any other occupation. It's not like DOD civilians. You don't go home at night. You live in barracks many times. You're out in the field many times, and there are an awful lot of complications here. What we don't want to do is overload the system. We're undergoing a lot of budget cuts now. We're struggling with the whole question of women in combat and how far to go in that direction. We're trying to do everything we can to cut out sexual harassment in the military, which is a problem, as we've seen in the Navy. And I think this is one that ought to be studied very carefully.
So if I understand what you're saying here, you're saying do not lift the ban immediately. But are you saying that you would not be in favor of ever lifting the ban?
I'm not now. I would like to hear a lot more evidence. I now, at this stage, personally agree with General Powell and his position on that. I do believe that Governor Clinton, I know he's going to listen very carefully to the military. I know he's going to want to talk to the Joint Chiefs. I know he's going to want to hear from those who may not agree with his position, but who have insights about how this is going to be done. I think he is pledged to end the discrimination, but I think he's going to proceed cautiously and carefully.
So your advice to the president is to go slow.
That's right.
Get all the information that he can get. Do you agree with what Senator Dole said a bit earlier this morning? He said if the president-elect lifts that ban, it would literally blow the lid off the Capitol. And he foresees some kind of a fight in the Congress over it. I'm not sure I understand what he's driving at, but...
I don't think I'd put it in those terms. I do think that you have to consider such things as the law. The law now is on the books that Uniform Code of Military Justice is a law. It's not an executive act. And that law basically makes homosexual acts criminal violations. So at some point you have to reconcile no discrimination but criminal violations for homosexual behavior. And at some point Congress would indeed get involved.
There have even been reports that there might be wholesale resignations in the military. Do you think it would go that far?
I don't think so. I don't believe so. The military has adjusted to some very serious social challenges in the past, drugs being one. The military, probably better than any other segment of our society, has dealt with the drug issue. The military struggled with racial discrimination for a long time, but probably better than any other institution in our society. They now give everybody equal rights regardless of race. And I think they will eventually be able to handle this one if required to do so. I don't think they want to do so. I think they want to keep the current policy, but the military is great about saluting and obeying civilian authority and carrying out the wishes of the President and the Commander-in-Chief and the Congress.
Well, I want to move on to other subjects, obviously, but I want to go back to one thing you said he ought to study it. Did you say appoint a commission or hold hearings on it?
Or a group of people.
A lot of times that's a way to bury an issue in Washington. You know, appoint a commission and then you never hear of it again, hold hearings, you never hear of it again. What would you think would be a good time frame to settle this? Or do you think...
Well, since I agree with the present policy, I would not prefer that it be a rapid conclusion. I think it ought to be studied as much as necessary to make sure that when he does implement it, we know exactly what we're doing and the military is fully prepared for it, and you don't have, for instance, violence against homosexuals. I think that's one thing that has to be considered. If you did it overnight, I fear for the lives of people in the military themselves. I think there could be some very emotional feelings. So I would prefer that it be stretched out over a period of time.
You are being mentioned for both as a possible candidate for Secretary of Defense and as Secretary of State. What can you tell us about that? Have you talked to Governor Clinton about it?
No, I haven't had any conversation, Bob, with him about either one of those positions. I've had several conversations with him. We've talked about other cabinet positions that he's asked my view on certain individuals, and I've given him that view. I'm happy in the United States Senate, and I suspect that's where I'll be in 93 and 94 and until my term concludes.
Well, if he asked you to be Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State.
Well, it'd be an honor to be asked, and I would certainly sit down and talk to him in a quiet way, and I'd certainly have a lot of things I'd want to explore, but I would have to have powerful arguments to leave the United States Senate. I like what I'm doing, and I enjoy it, and I enjoy representing the people of Georgia.
Let's talk a little bit about the world. There was almost no talk about foreign policy during the campaign, and yet there's a bad world out there, and it still has many problems, even though the Cold War is over. Let's start with what was once the Soviet Union and Russia. What is your view of the stability of Boris Yeltsin's government right now?
I believe that it's under great threat right now. Maybe not Yeltsin so much individually as the whole concept of reform and where they're going with market economy and so forth. I think that's under grave threat from the industrial complex, from those who see jobs going down the drain, from those who are running enterprises with 20,000 people employed that now have very little to do because defense procurement's been cut by 80% in the last 2 or 3 years. So he's under real threat now. And I think, frankly, the West is sleepwalking through history here. I do not give the West, and not just the United States, we're included in that, very good marks at all. Actually, if you look at the record, we have really, the West gave more assistance to Gorbachev's communist regime than we have to Yeltsin's democratic regime. And I often wonder what would have happened in the 1920s and 30s if somebody said, if we spend a few $1 billion at the right time, we can avoid having Hitler. Now, if we could go back and unwind that part of history and avoid all the terrible consequences of having a totalitarian regime spring from what was a fledgling democracy in Germany in the 1920s and 30s. Are we about to repeat history? Are we about to see an opportunity to have democracy and have a market economy in the former Soviet Union really go down the drain because the West is so absorbed with its own problems?
How do you do that, though, Senator Nunn? I mean, the minute that somebody goes to the Hill and proposes a lot of foreign aid for the Soviet Union, you're going to have people that say, you know, we've got problems in Los Angeles. Why can't we do anything for our people at home? We've got to get this country going. In a way, that's what this campaign was all about. So how do you do that?
Well, Senator Lugar and I did it in a limited fashion back a year and a half ago when we got $400 million out of the defense budget to help the Russians control nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, and we put another $400 million in this year. It's going to take a lot of leadership. That's just a part of the picture, but the very important part because that relates directly to our own security. But let's look at it like this, Bob. The United States right now over the next 10 years can probably save, and we're projecting at least 60-70% of this right now, save somewhere between $250 and $300 billion in defense expenditures if trends continue to go the way they are. But does anyone believe if we end up with a totalitarian-type government over there, heavily controlled or influenced by the military, that we're going to be able to save that much money in our defense budget with chaos breaking out all over that part of the world? I don't think so. I think that we're going to spend billions and billions and billions of dollars in the future to correct the inactions that are not being taken now. Let's take not just the United States, let's take Germany. Germany is suffering from terrible refugee problems. They have internal conflicts. Stability is, of course, something they are seeking with East Germany being merged. Very difficult challenge. But does anyone believe Germany, if the former Soviet Union ends up in chaos, can basically be a stable country with hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of refugees pouring over the borders to avoid the civic strife and the economic breakdown in those countries? Let's take Japan. Japan hadn't given hardly any assistance to the former Soviet Union, to Russia, because they want the Northern Islands back that came after World War II. Well, that's perfectly understandable. I agree with their position. But does anyone believe that the Japanese are going to get the Northern Islands back if Yeltsin is booted out and we have a military-type nationalistic regime? They'll be much less likely to get those islands back then. So here we are all sitting around absorbed with our own problems and not looking at the whole historic opportunity. It's an unprecedented period in history, and we're going to be held responsible by history if we in the West do not mobilize. We mobilized, for instance, under President Bush's leadership, raised $60 billion to basically help pay for restoring the Emir of Kuwait to his throne. Now, isn't it worth something to take the adversary that we've spent $4 to $6 trillion defending against in Europe alone and help convert them into a democracy? We're going to be held accountable if we do not.
All right, let's take a break here. When we come back, I want to ask you what you propose to do about that and what you think is the right thing that ought to be done and how extensive a program you think we ought to undertake. But let's take a break here. We'll be back in just a minute.
This portion of Face the Nation is sponsored by the Archer Daniels Midland Company. ADM, supermarket to the world.
Our team project was tough. The deadline was tougher.
Only one digital color printer prints in black and white and color at the same time to save time. Intelligent color for any document, only from Xerox.
Putting it together.
Our spring fashions are terrific. Now let's get them noticed.
Highlight your news with Xerox color and you'll get everyone's attention faster. Intelligent color for any document, only from Xerox.
Putting it together.
Dean Witter believed every success story was unique.
We have a sacred trust to protect our investors.
Whether it's the success of a small business,
to maintain conservative policies,
saving for college,
to put the interest of our clients first,
or planning an early retirement. From getting in on the ground floor to getting all the way to the top, Dean Witter is there to help every client make it every step of the way. Dean Witter.
We measure success one investor at a time.
But I could not believe it when I ate it. It was just, they're just absolutely wonderful.
I've learned to like them quite a bit. We take them home and eat them pretty regularly.
They were really delicious. I like them. They're just good. Oh, they'd get a 10 for sure.
They're talking about it in the Midwest.
It's quick,
I know it's nutritious. It's going to be good for me.
And Bob has a high cholesterol problem, so they really solve a lot of problems for our whole family.
And soon it may be in the lips of people everywhere.
If he says it's good, it is really good.
Yeah, I like them.
It's the Midland Harvest brand Harvest Burger, an all-vegetable patty from the Archer Daniels Midland Company. Harvest burgers are low in fat, low in calories, free of cholesterol, and contain dietary fiber. Qualities that are in growing demand by today's health-conscious consumers. And what are people saying about the taste? We couldn't have said it better ourselves. ADM, supermarket to the world.
And we're back with the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Sam Nunn. Jim Hoagland now joins us, columnist from the Washington Post, and James Fallows of Atlantic Magazine for our roundtable discussion. Let's get back to what we were talking about, the former Soviet Union. Senator Nunn, you were very critical of what the United States has done up to now. What do you think ought to be done? Are you proposing some kind of a Marshall Plan toward the Soviet Union?
No, not just the United States, the whole Western world. I think we've got to mobilize the world to really take some serious steps. For one thing, the so-called G7 countries, the group of 7 countries, including the U.S., we have very little presence over there. There's no one person that's coordinating for the G7 countries. The IMF, International Monetary Fund, I'm told that there are more people representing Harvard in Russia now than they are the International Monetary Fund. They've had nobody on the ground over there, and they're the ones that are supposed to be in charge. We do not have in this country, in our own government, any high-level coordinator. Larry Eagleberg, a dedicated public servant, but he's trying to handle this along with everything else. We need one coordinator that would be in charge and be responsible and accountable for what happens over there. So it's much more than money. We need to mobilize resources, yes, but we need to do a lot more than that. Just a couple of, for instances, military-to-military visits. That doesn't cost very much money. But we really need to get a lot of that military over here in our universities. And we need to get some of our military over there. Not only to take the lid off sort of the boiling steam coming out of the military morale problem in the former Soviet Union, but also to expose them to democratic principles. Defense conversion, it's not going to be easy, but we need to encourage them to break up their defense industries and basically have the employees own the smaller parts of those industries and then encourage joint ventures with our own companies over here in the parts that make sense. Some of it's just going to go down the tubes, but we can do that. We need to greatly encourage the American free enterprise to go over and drill oil and gas wells. That helps us. That helps our economy. It helps the world energy picture, but we're going to have some beefed-up political insurance to do that. And that can be done by some combination of what we call OPIC, the Overseas Private Investment Corporation. So there are all sorts of things that we need to do. They have a lot of technology in the former Soviet Union. Some of it would be of interest to American companies that don't have time or effort or money to go over there. We can have the Commerce Department set up technology fairs displaying their technology in this country. So it's not just a matter of money, it's a matter of will and resources and leadership. And yes, it would have to be explained to the American people. You couldn't just run up to Capitol Hill and say, give it to me. You'd have to explain it. We haven't had a president yet who was willing to do that.
Jim Hoagland?
I think the senator is right to stress the urgency of some kind of unified action by the West. There are two very troubling things right now. One is the trend away from the kind of cooperation between Russia and America that we thought we could have at the beginning of this very year. Over the past few months, we've seen that instead of wanting to break up the military-industrial complex, the Russian government is moving back toward accepting it and indeed asking that the United States and other foreign governments support the concept of increased arms sales throughout the world. Increasingly, the view is to keep the military-industrial complex intact as a source of employment. That's a very disturbing trend, one that's going to have to be dealt with. The second thing, of course, is nuclear proliferation. The Ukraine now has made something like 17 consecutive statements promising to give up the nuclear weapons under its control and to sign the Non-Proliferation Treaty. And then immediately after each statement, there's some action, there's some other statement that suggests that they're not going to do that, that they want to keep those weapons. I think it's a bargaining process. They want increased aid, they want increased recognition, but that's a very dangerous game, and one I think the United States and its Western allies has to put an end to by insisting that Ukraine and Kazakhstan give up the nuclear weapons that they promised to do.
Jim?
I have a question for the senator on a related kind of mobilization. You've said that the West needs to mobilize to deal with this former Soviet challenge. There was you have stressed over the years, and President-elect Clinton stressed during his campaign, that any foreign policy initiative in the U.S. depends on economic strength in the U.S. In the long run, that's the basis of our foreign policy. Is it your sense that the Congress now can be mobilized in any significant way, really, to deal with our fiscal problems, to do something different about the deficit from what it's done over the last, 10 years?
I think so, Jim, but I think Governor Clinton is dedicated to getting the deficit under control over the long period, and it will take a long time. It is my view, and Senator Pete Domenici and I issued a pretty long report on this recently, that it'll take about 10 years. But what's important right now, as the carrots are being given out at the beginning of the administration, infrastructure, investment, training, and so forth, we also need to make sure we take the spinach, or we might call it in Bush terms, the broccoli. We're going to have some spinach and broccoli along with the carrots. And I think we need to, my own view is, we need to put a cap on entitlement programs and begin to have a disciplined approach to those, which have been exempted from all the other revenue deficit control measures.
And has there been an indication so far that the Clinton administration will be willing to do any of that?
Well, he's talked specifically about a cap on health care. And health care is the essence of the reform that has to take place, and that is a top priority. So getting health care under control, it is my own personal view that unless you have some fiscal overall framework for health care reform, you could end up spending more money than you save, and that's the danger.
Senator, let's talk about the military, which is something you've been following for a long, long time as chairman of the Armed Services Committee. With a new world, with a new kind of foreign policy, the military is going to have to be reshaped. It's already being reshaped. How do you see that being done, and what kind of military does this country need? Do we need a larger army? Do all of the services need to be shrunk the same amount? How do you go about that?
Well, if we just let it happen let nature take its course, they'll all take that for percentage of cuts. That's the way it's always been done, but that would not be the right way to do it. I think Governor Clinton has articulated pretty well what needs to happen. He's talked about a smaller force, but a more mobile force. He's talked about an emphasis on roles and missions review. I've talked a lot about that myself. Colin Powell is going to be coming up with a report on sorting out, for instance, whether the Army and Marine Corps duplicate on things where one or the other could take the lead, or whether the Air Force and Navy are doing things that are overlapping. As we draw down the forces, unless we cut out the duplication and redundancy and waste, we're going to end up cutting into the strength that we really need. So those are areas that have to be addressed. A smaller force, a more mobile force, a less redundant force, and a force that hopefully will continue to have the high morale and the high quality that we've had in the past, with an emphasis also on dual-use technology. Increasing the Defense Department has to get that technology from the commercial sector, but they continue to go through this habitual, detailed, thousands and thousands of purchases on specifications. Instead of going out in the commercial market, I think we need to maximize what we buy in the commercial market and minimize what we call detailed specification procurement. But that's a rather complicated subject. But I think Governor Clinton's on the right track with the defense budget. It's going to be a challenge, but I believe in putting people first, which he said will also put people first in the Department of Defense. I would add one other thing. I think we have a huge resource out there in people getting out of the military. I think we can use those people if we channel it properly for teaching math and science. 50% of our high schools in this country don't have a qualified math or science teacher, and about half of them don't have a physics teacher at all. We have 35% of our officer corps today in the military have master's degrees or more. And I think, finally, some people snicker at this one, but I really mean it. I think we could use some of the sergeants who don't have college educations as assistant principals to enforce a little discipline in our schools. Nothing would improve teaching more in this country than having teachers with a little help on discipline. And these people know how to work with 17, 18-year-old kids, and I think they could help a lot.
I mean, are you talking about taking people out of the military and detailing them to public schools?
No, I'm talking about once they get out.
But
there's got to be a transition out of the military into the private. No, I'm not talking about doing it while they're on military. But I also believe that those on military duty, active duty, can serve as role models in our inner cities. We have 400,000 black men and women and 90,000 Hispanics who are outstanding role models. And I think to the maximum extent possible, consistent with a mission, while they're in the military and in the Guard and Reserve, they ought to be out in our school systems, particularly in our urban areas.
Senator, do you think we should now withdraw troops from Europe at a much faster rate than President Bush had proposed? He had said there would be something like 150,000 American troops still in Europe by 1995. Do you think that number can be reduced greatly and that President-elect Clinton wants to do that?
Jim, I think the president wants to come down to about 100,000, and that's what we in the Congress have decided is the appropriate level. We actually have passed a law on that President Bush has disagreed with but signed. I do believe the pace is about right. I think we're coming down at about the right pace. I think to accelerate the pace would be a severe hardship on the men and women in uniform. But I do believe we shouldn't stop when we get to 150,000. We ought to continue till we get down to about 100,000.
Well, do you feel comfortable with that in view of what's happened in Yugoslavia and Europe's clear inability to solve a devastating war on its doorstep that's spreading millions of refugees through Europe?
I think we have to re-examine every year as we go along. We can't just say we're going to have a 5-year plan and not look at the threats in the world, but I do not believe we need 150 to 200,000 in order to deal with a Yugoslavia-type situation. The Europeans and NATO haven't even been able to get together and decide what to do, and this is another area of Western leadership that is really in doubt. We really need to have a whole review of the Yugoslavian policy. We primarily need to get out in front and contain the next Yugoslavian crisis, which will probably be Kosovo or Macedonia. If we don't get those countries on the rim together and start saying, how do we not let this spread, this is going to become, could become a NATO challenge involving Greece and Turkey and Albania and a number of other countries. I have some other thoughts on Yugoslavia, but it's a real challenge.
Jim?
See, Senator, the U.S. obviously doesn't want to have its ground forces in Yugoslavia. It doesn't want to break relations with China. It doesn't want to intervene in Somalia. But what more can the U.S. do short of full-scale intervention in all these places to protest political situations it doesn't like? What more could we be doing?
Well, Jim, in the case of former Yugoslavia, the United Nations has basically taken a strong position of an embargo, but they haven't enforced it. Right. The one thing we ought to be doing is stopping ships out there and not letting them through if they're going to be delivering
with the U.S.
supplies.
Navy or allied forces?
With the NATO forces or UN forces. Everything we do there ought to be through the United Nations, in my view. But the U.S. can certainly help in that respect. It's a rather simple matter on the Danube, I'm told, to simply inspect every ship that goes through those locks. We're not doing that now, so we have an embargo with no teeth. We also have a no-fly zone over there that the United Nations has set up, saying that the Serbian Air Force shouldn't be flying and so forth, and yet they're flying. They're violating that. I've been told in recent days that they've been violating it with both helicopters and with fixed-wing aircraft. It wouldn't take long to stop that.
Just one quick question. Would you advocate using U.S. aircraft, airstrikes in any way there?
I think we could use, as long as the United Nations sanctions it, I think we ought to be dealing with an international body here. I think NATO could get involved. This is an area NATO should be involved in. Doesn't necessarily have to be U.S. aircraft, but I certainly would not exclude that. I think we ought to make it clear that the no-fly zone has teeth, and if people fly, they're at their own risk, and I don't think we'd have to shoot down many planes to stop it.
All right. I'm very sorry, gentlemen, but we've run out of time. We have to